Three core values of Buddhism. Buddhism is not only a religion, but also a profound philosophy of life that places human beings and the core values of the spirit at its center. Over the centuries, three key values, humanity, equality, and compassion, have shaped the distinct identity of Buddhist teachings, guiding people on the path to enlightenment and true happiness. In addition, the doctrine of non-self, anatta, serves as an essential theoretical foundation that helps overcome personal ego and fosters a comprehensive understanding of impermanence and constant change. The following is a detailed analysis of these values from historical, conceptual, and practical perspectives. The value of humanity. One of the most remarkable features of Buddhism is its humanistic outlook, the affirmation that human beings, with all their sufferings, joys, and ability to change, are the center of the journey toward enlightenment. 1. The Buddha, a human conquering suffering. Buddhism presents the image of Siddhartha Gautama, also known as Shakyamuni Buddha, as a human being rather than a supernatural deity or an all-powerful god. Born into a royal family of the Shakya clan, Siddhartha enjoyed every privilege of a luxurious life. However, after witnessing the inevitable sufferings of birth, aging, illness, and death, as well as the hardships and injustices faced by ordinary people, he chose to renounce his family, wealth, and status. His decision to leave behind a life of luxury marked the beginning of his quest for truth. Despite studying under renowned teachers, the answers he received did not soothe the deep inner turmoil he felt. Ultimately, Siddhartha resolved to pursue enlightenment on his own. After 49 days of deep meditation beneath the Bodhi tree, at the very moment the morning star appeared, he attained profound insight into the nature of all things, and thus became the enlightened one, the Buddha. Human beings at the core of the teachings. The Buddha's awakening gave rise to the concept of humanity in Buddhism, asserting that human beings are the primary subject of the teaching. In the Buddhist worldview, the universe is divided into 6 realms: the gods, deva, humans, asuras, hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals. Among these, the human realm is celebrated as the most favorable condition for realizing the truth of suffering and igniting the light of wisdom within one's own small being. In contrast, beings in the heavenly realm may be too absorbed in pleasure to recognize the reality of suffering, while those in the other realms, such as asuras, hell beings, hungry ghosts, and animals, are overwhelmed by ignorance and adversity. This explains why, in the human realm, the conditions are optimal for understanding and transcending suffering, personal responsibility, and the power of wisdom. Another important message in Buddhism is the idea that every individual is the master of his or her own life. Each person is responsible for his or her actions in the past, present, and future. No one, no deity or external force can purify one's mind or liberate one from the bonds of karma except the individual. The Dhammapada, verse 345, teaches, "It is by one's own deed that one becomes unclean. It is by one's own deed that one becomes pure." This principle not only encourages self-reliance and personal initiative, but also affirms that with diligence and determination, each person can fully develop their inner potential and reach the shores of enlightenment. Even if countless Buddhas extend their compassion, one's own efforts remain indispensable. Furthermore, Buddhism recognizes those who, in times when no Buddha appears, manage to illuminate the truth through their own wisdom and rigorous practice. These individuals, often referred to as pratyeka Buddhas or silent Buddhas, exemplify the extraordinary potential of human beings, a quality rarely found in any other religious teaching, where a supreme teacher so objectively empowers the inherent capabilities of each person. The value of equality. The value of equality is deeply developed in Buddhist teachings, a revolutionary idea emerging in a society marked by rigid caste divisions. Buddhism rising amidst a stratified society. In ancient India, society was sharply divided into distinct classes. The Brahmins, composed of priests and ritual specialists from 62 different schools, held the highest position in society. Next came the Kshatriyas, the royal lineage and rulers who controlled society. Then were the Vaishyas, the common people, and finally the Shudras, the laborers or even slaves. These rigid classifications predetermined people's fates, leaving little room for social mobility. The Buddha's action, a declaration of equality. Against this backdrop, Prince Siddhartha's decision to renounce his royal privileges and the luxurious life of a ruler became a powerful declaration of equality. His renunciation was not only a personal transformation, but also a strong statement that true value does not depend on birth or social status. Every being has the potential for enlightenment if they cultivate wisdom and engage in diligent practice. The teaching. The Buddha is already enlightened. All beings have the potential to become Buddhas, underscores that every living being, regardless of their origin, can achieve enlightenment. In doing so, the artificial distinctions between superior and inferior, based on caste, become meaningless. Equality. Throughout all life, Buddhism extends its concept of equality beyond human beings to all forms of life. From ordinary human beings to animals and even tiny insects, every living creature is believed to possess the latent potential for Buddhahood, often referred to as Buddha nature. This perspective emphasizes that all life is interdependent, and the differences among living beings arise solely from conditions and circumstances, rather than any predetermined fate. By upholding the rights to life, freedom, and equality for every sentient being, Buddhism lays the ethical foundation for a humane society, dissolving boundaries and prejudices, and promoting fairness and compassion. The value of compassion. Compassion is the very soul of Buddhist teachings. It is not merely an emotion, but must be manifested in concrete actions that alleviate suffering and spread love to all beings. Compassion, an emotion and an action that brings joy and relieves suffering. The Buddha taught, loving kindness brings joy, and compassion relieves suffering. Compassion is the profound capacity to empathize with the pain of others, not only offering them joy, but also soothing their sorrows and hardships. The expression of compassion goes beyond internal feeling. It must be transformed into practical actions, sharing resources, aiding those in distress, and offering a listening ear and comfort to those in need. Practicing loving kindness meditation, metta. One of the most important practices for nurturing compassion is metta meditation. Through this practice, practitioners repeatedly recite phrases of goodwill, wishing for the happiness and well-being of all beings. Over time, this practice dissolves mental barriers and gradually transforms negative emotions into a powerful, all-encompassing love. Regular practice of metta meditation not only brings inner peace, but also radiates positive energy outward, helping to create a community characterized by empathy and mutual support. Compassion in action in society. Compassion is also expressed through everyday deeds. Whether it is by helping the poor, caring for the elderly, or protecting the environment and animals, every act of kindness embodies the spirit of compassion. The maxim, hatred cannot extinguish hatred, only love can do that, reminds us that responding to hostility with more hostility only deepens conflicts, whereas love and compassion can heal emotional wounds and break the cycle of violence. In today's world, where conflict and strife are rampant, compassion is an essential remedy that can steer humanity toward a future of peace and hope. The value of non-self, Dhyana. Alongside the three core values, the doctrine of non-self is one of Buddhism's fundamental pillars. It explains the true nature of all phenomena. Impermanence and the ever-changing nature of all things. Buddhism teaches that nothing in the world possesses a permanent, fixed essence. Objects we regard as fixed, such as a table or a house, inevitably change over time, eventually becoming old and breaking apart. Everything in existence follows the cycle of arising, staying, changing, and ceasing, samsara, emphasizing that nothing is eternal. All are transient manifestations in the continuous flow of time. The illusion of the self and its consequences. Because we fail to recognize the impermanent nature of all things, we gradually come to cling to the idea of a permanent I, me, or mine. This attachment to a fixed self leads to egoism, false beliefs, and rigidity, which in turn give rise to conflicts and even wars. Once we understand that the self is merely a conventional aggregation of the 5 aggregates, skandhas, the boundaries between individuals begin to dissolve. In their place, a spirit of generosity, forgiveness, and universal love can emerge. Non-self is the key to enlightenment. Realizing the truth of non-self is not merely an intellectual exercise, it is a therapeutic process that frees one from suffering and selfish attachments. When one accepts that all things are in constant flux and that nothing remains permanently, the clinging to the self diminishes, opening the heart to change. This understanding lays the foundation for developing a mind that is open, compassionate, and capable of embracing all beings, thereby paving the way for inner peace and ultimate enlightenment. Conclusion. From the analysis above, it is clear that the 3 core values, humanity, equality, and compassion, along with the doctrine of non-self, form a profound and comprehensive framework in Buddhism. Humanity asserts that every individual is at the center of the spiritual journey, capable of conquering suffering and achieving self-realization through inner strength and wisdom. Equality demolishes preconceptions about social status and origin, affirming that all beings, regardless of their background, can reach enlightenment if they harness their inner potential. Compassion is not merely an emotion, but an active force that heals the wounds of the heart and fosters a society based on empathy, kindness, and mutual respect. Non-self encourages the recognition of the impermanent nature of all things, allowing individuals to overcome ego-driven boundaries and embrace a life of openness and love. Together, these teachings do not only guide individuals on a spiritual path, but also offer a humane philosophy of life. They remind us that true happiness comes from self-mastery, love, and the deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence. In a world riddled with injustice and conflict, it is through self-improvement and compassionate living that humanity can move toward a future of lasting peace and profound contentment. This ultimately is the timeless message of Buddhism, a message for humanity, by humanity, to help us overcome life's challenges and attain boundless joy.